Hi everyone! You know those cartons of soy milk you buy from the supermarket? If you think that's soy milk, think again. The soy milk you buy from the supermarket, obviously they're probably made of soybeans, but it's nothing like what we're going to make today. Homemade soy milk. So soy milk is quite a popular breakfast drink in places like Taiwan. Instead of dairy milk, lots of people having warm soy milk. The homemade soy milk you create from scratch with soaked soybeans. It tastes night and day comparing to the shop bought stuff. There's simply no resemblance. It's akin to almond milk. The almond milk you make at home tastes totally different from those coming from the carton. If shop bought soy milk is your only soy milk experience, you've got to make it at home. It's a totally different experience. Homemade soy milk is the most healing, comforting, and heartwarming drink you can ever have. So some of you might have seen my how to make tofu video. I'll put a link below here for you. So in order to make tofu, first of all, you need to make soy milk. But in the video, I actually use a slow juicer. And that's how I normally make my tofu at home. It just speeds up the process. The juicer separates the pulp from the soy milk. But I'm fully aware not everybody has a slow juicer at home. So today I'm going to show you how to produce soy milk manually. You'll still need a blender, but I think most households probably has a blender. And while we're creating this beautiful soy milk, we're also going to end up with a fantastic byproduct called okara. Okara is basically soya bean pulp. So the pulp is full of nutrients, but also it's a fantastic ingredient for keto vegan baking. So I've got a few keto vegan recipes coming up incorporating okara. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so let's start. So the ingredients you need. This is it, soya beans. This is probably the shortest list of the ingredients we ever had in the history of the channel. So this is 500 grams of dry soybeans, and that's what they look like. And what you do is wash the beans thoroughly and then soak them overnight. And let me show you what they look like. So these are the beans I soaked last night before I went to bed. So you can see they expand quite a lot. They go from this to this. So you soak them overnight for about 6 to 8 hours. Could be a little bit longer, but probably no less than 6 hours. And we're going to discard the water. Do not use the water that you soak the beans in. It's not edible. The water is not edible. So we're going to drain it. And these are the drained beans. And in order to make the soybeans, we'll need a couple of tools. We need cheesecloth. So you have a couple of options. You can either buy these ones. So these are nut bags. You can make soy milk or nut milk with it. They come in sort of bag shape already. And it's got like a drawstring at the top. So it turns into a little pouch. Or you can buy cheesecloths like this. So it comes in a roll. You can just cut them in any size you want. So the advantage of nut milk bag is obviously it's in the bag shape. It's probably easier to handle. But the disadvantage is the fact that they're fixed size. You can't really make them bigger or larger. So it's up to you. But today I'm going to demonstrate it with a cheesecloth that I cut in the size to fit my mixing bowl. So I'm going to use this to make my milk today. And on top of that, you will need a big pot. So I'm going to use the biggest pot in my kitchen. It needs to be big enough to comfortably contain about 4 liters of liquid. So I'm one of those rare people that actually I don't have a regular blender. So I'm going to use a food processor to do it. It should be fine. All we're trying to do is to blitz it. We're going to add in our soybeans here. So for the 500 grams of dry beans, we're going to top it up with 3.5 liters of water. But for the blitzing, we don't need to add the full amount. We just need to add enough water for it to blend. So you might need to do this in batches. Put a lid on and we're going to blitz it. Okay, so the finer you can blitz it, the better, obviously. Okay, so here's my blitzed soybean mixture. It's got quite a lot of foam on top. It's totally normal. So now if you look at the mixture, it's very thick. So earlier on I only added just enough water for it to blitz. So it's very thick right now. And it's a mixture of liquid and also soybean pulp. And we're going to top it up with the remaining water that we got. So it's 3.5 liters of water versus 500 grams of dry beans. Okay, now we're going to separate the pulp. Okay, so I'm going to use this large bowl here. And on top of the bowl, I'm going to line my cheesecloth on top of it. So I just cut the cheesecloth to the size I want. And all I'm going to do is to scoop the mixture into the bowl. Okay, and now just gather the edges of the cloth and turn into a little parcel like that. As you can see, now you can squeeze out the milk. It's strangely satisfying, this process. Okay, so you want to squeeze until there's no milk coming out. So it's super easy. And maybe give it a twist. Okay, so that's dry enough. That's pretty dry. And this is your, let me show you. This is your okara, the magical ingredient that we're going to use for vegan keto baking. And I've got a Tupperware container here. And all I'm going to do is to just pop that in there and give it a little press. So that's the first batch of okara. And then we're going to finish up the remaining of the mixture. So this is the milk we squeeze out, quite a bit of it, and now we're going to cook it and turn it into yummy, yummy soy milk. Okay, just a quick tip on how to store your okara, your soybean pulp. So what I normally do is to put them in a freeze bag like this. Just press it down kind of thinly. And the reason I want to do this is once it's frozen, it's going to be hardened. But if you spread it out thinly like this, it means you can just break off the parts you need. If it's just a big chunk, then you can't break it off. Quite normally, you probably only need to use a portion of it at a time. So you can just take it out of the freezer and just break off the part you need. So this will go into a freezer like this. And with the cheesecloth we just used, you can just give it a good rinse and then dry it, and you can use it again next time. So now all we have to do is to cook the milk. Just to make sure you know that unlike nut milk, soy milk has to be cooked to be drank, okay? So never attempt to drink raw milk. You're not gonna like it very much. So you probably notice there's quite a lot of bubbles on the surfaces. So before we cook it, we're going to just remove this foamy stuff. It's just a sort of impurity or whatever it is on top. So we're going to just remove that first of all. Okay, now we're going to turn on the heat. So this is where you need a little bit of patience. It will take a little bit of time to cook because we're not going to use strong heat. Turn the heat to sort of medium, and then I'm going to take a wooden spoon, and you need to stir throughout. So this is not something you can just leave it on the pot and then wander off. You need to keep stirring. And you want to make sure there's nothing building up at the bottom of the pot. So you don't want anything to get burned or build up at the bottom. It will be worth it, I promise. And as you cook it, you will probably get more of the foam building up, and all you have to do is just scoop it up like you did earlier. So the key thing is to stay by the pot, and the second thing is keep stirring, and then remove the foam on the top. Okay, so it's been about probably 10-15 minutes, something like that, just under 15 minutes. So now you can see it's starting to foam up. So now is a good time to turn the heat low. Okay, you can see that? It's bubbling. Turn the heat to the lowest setting. So you want to allow it to come, just about to come to a boil, and then you want to turn the heat down and leave it to simmer. And the simmering is also a really important process for making soya milk, because this process is going to cook off any bitterness in soya milk. So you want to simmer it for about 10 minutes. So get your timer out, and you want to stir it from time to time to make sure there's nothing building up at the bottom. Very important. And after 10 minutes of simmering time, you end up with this beauty. So creamy and rich, and piping hot as well. So I'm gonna just have a cup. Oh, it's so good. The smell is fantastic as well. Just look at that. The purists would drink it like this, but I like it sweetened. So I'm going to add a little bit of stevia and just give it a mix. Oh my, look at this. Still piping hot. Can't wait to have a sip. Oh, it's so creamy and smooth. It's just lovely. You know, I'll go as far as saying that if you haven't had homemade soya milk, you haven't really had soya milk. Not really. It's just not the same thing. It's such a healing, wonderful drink. With the milk, you can go on and turn it into tofu. You can refer to my how to make tofu video. You can leave it to cool and store in the fridge for, I say, 2 to 3 days. Don't leave it beyond that. And to be honest, it's so good, it probably wouldn't last that long. So the soya milk can be drank cold or chilled if you want to, but I really recommend heating it up. So you can take it out of the fridge and just warm it up with a saucepan. Don't boil it, just warm it up. Bit of stevia if you're on keto, and just drink it like this. It's just so comforting. And the milk is actually really good as a soup base. I'd love to show you a recipe very soon on how to make creamy soup out of the soya milk. It has that natural creaminess. It is perfect for soups. But for now, I'm gonna drink this quietly and enjoy it. So I hope you enjoy today's recipe and we'll give it a try. Really, one ingredient. It really doesn't get better than that. And as I said in the beginning, I've got a few fantastic recipes coming up using okara, the soya bean pulp that we saved up earlier. So stay tuned for that. And don't forget to subscribe to my new yoga channel. It's being launched very soon. So if you'd like to practice yoga with me, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss anything. So follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. I posted things I eat and ideas for keto vegan recipes. So make sure you check out my Instagram. So thanks for hanging out with me today, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.